Right, welcome back. And we just quickly going over that question of the day. Leanne told you about it before the break, but here it is, as it is on the social media platform. It's on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp suffered a massive outage on Monday. How did that affect you? At Morning Live SABC, and already seeing some very interesting responses coming through. But this is our question. Tell us how this affected you. But let's go on to trending topics because it speaks to the same thing.
Sure,
so
look at that.
Waking up this morning.
Wow.
There you have.
If you fell asleep during the whole outage, believe me, you'll be reminded as soon as you open Twitter, which, by the way, is actually quite funny because suddenly, you know what happens when all of these things go down? People go flocking back to Twitter to see what's happening, what's going on, what
Twitter will tell you.
And Twitter will tell you. So that's what's happened. So WhatsApp is number one. Then we've got Facebook down. Then we've got Mark Zuckerberg. Then we've got iMessage. You just name it. And then the big one as well, delete Facebook. So all of these are grouped together. So as you know, Facebook Facebook owns WhatsApp and Instagram, and they all work off that same platform, and boom, it all went down. So Facebook jumping to say there was nothing sinister about this, it was just a problem with one of our servers and everything's back up and running, and this was 6 hours later. But for people that live on these social media networks, I mean, this was absolutely devastating for them. For me, it was actually peaceful. It was wonderful. In the beginning, as you and I were saying, I mean, I tried to restart my phone. I kind of shut the phone down and rebooted, and then I realized that something's not lacquer. Had a look and saw it was off, and it was actually peaceful to just put the phone down and say, nah, I couldn't be bothered, not interested.
Same here, didn't bother, did that once. Okay. And I just figured, something's wrong, it will come back on.
Exactly.
But Mark Zuckerberg's personal wealth has fallen by 105 billion rand.
Can you believe it?
In just a few hours.
Yeah. In fact, it even fell more previously. So that was just in a few hours. And then on the weekend, there was a whistleblower that came out to talk about, working at Facebook and what they are responsible for, and opening people's eyes to the fact of the chaos that Facebook is creating around the world, that they are putting money first before any form of humanitarian interest. And this is something that they've been accused of for a very, very long time. So their shares already started dropping, and then this happened, and people are looking to say, is it a coincidence that the whistleblower came out on the weekend and then suddenly this happened? And this share is just,
So he's lost about $19 billion of wealth since September the 13th.
Crazy, isn't it? Yeah, well, that's Facebook. He can afford it.
People in the world.
He can afford it. He's still got lots and lots and lots of billions and hundreds of billions of dollars to go back on. But I mean, I think it's a great conversation to have about, the power that you and I and everybody watching gives the likes of Facebook and gives the likes of Instagram. You are documenting every step of your life. Political leaders are taking, they take Facebook and put out things. Fake news is being spread freely all over these things. So, the power that they have is immense.
Yeah, for business as well.
Really have to, the power of data, that is the currency that Mark Zuckerberg owns. And that, unfortunately, is way too powerful for one man.
Okay, so those were your first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trends there. All speaking to this massive outage yesterday.
SMS should have trended, because even I sent an SMS last night. I haven't sent an SMS in years.
I send SMSs from time.
There
are people who still use SMS.
Really?
So and then just respond to them on the same platform.
Wow, no, I mean, I do get one or two, but very few. But I did send one last night out of desperation, just because I needed to get a message across, and I really didn't feel like phoning. Do you phone people?
I do.
I don't.
I actually phone quite a lot. I still prefer to
have
speak
that
to people.
I'm sorry. I'm just one of those people. It's just like, just send me a message. We'll deal with it over message.
No, I still prefer hearing people and speaking to them.
Okay, so an iMessage trending too, because that, of course, is the Apple version of WhatsApp, if you want to call it that. So if you've got an iPhone, you message one another between iMessage, and there was nothing wrong with that, and they were all bragging. So, there we go. Those are all one trend actually wrapped up in 6 different trends.
And then, of course, Chief Justice, and this, of course, after yesterday, the interviews
Yes.
for the next Chief Justice, that shortlist being concluded once again. So Chief Justice Mogoeng, his term comes to an end on the 11th of this month. What's today? Today's the 5th. In 6 days' time.
Yeah.
The Chief Justice's term will come to an end, and then of course a new Chief Justice will have to be announced. But you know, this has been going on for a while. I think last week we did some interviews as well, this week again. So yeah, much more of the same in terms of that particular trend.
Yeah,
and
indeed.
finally, Makadzi.
This story.
We spoke about this yesterday,
as soon as
and
we got
it's
off
still
air.
trending.
Yeah.
You know, it's one that went on. But incidentally, you can almost tie it to the first few trends about the whistleblower with Mark Zuckerberg and the social media platforms,
Yeah.
talking about how not enough is done to clamp down on hate speech and misinformation and that type of thing. And for me, Makadzi's trend falls into that, whereby there was a picture of her, and it's her performing, and someone
She was on
took a
stage, took it
picture.
from an angle, but a very, you know, an angle that is facing up.
Unflattering.
It's an unflattering angle. Yeah, it really is.
And a picture was taken, and it happened to show that she had, dark spot on her inner thighs. And who would have thought that would get people all hot and bothered? Like, why?
And then to the point that she actually had to come out and apologize. You know, I apologize for this.
That
but
got me.
Imagine, because she said, I can handle these things, but my family and friends, they, you know, this really upsets them to hear, you know, the social media bashing and all of this kind of thing. And, you know, I don't know why that photographer would have, of all the photographs that were taken, to use that to advertise his business and to show off, where, I mean, you know, it just is, it's in poor taste. But since then, I have to say that there has been more than enough love that's been going Makadzi's way, saying, it says, you don't have to be apologizing for anything. Really,
And
you
we're
don't.
happy about that.
And we're happy about that, and there's just been, you know, a lot of love and all these beautiful pictures being shared of her. But I mean, just have a little bit of, I don't know, social
Beautiful
media.
girl. And the thing is here.
Yeah.
I agree with the whistleblower employee that there's something needs to be done about the anonymity with which people parade on platforms such as Twitter, because this is why people can be as vile and as brutal as they
Absolutely.
are, because they can hide behind anonymity.
Yeah.
Come on as yourself and say the sort of vile vitriol that you spew on those platforms,
Yeah, it's easy.
as yourself.
Easy to sit at home on a couch and just, you know, throw insults at people under an anonymous account. And what you do with those insults is you ruin people's lives, and it's unnecessary. But yeah, I mean, just on a closing note for the Makadzi story, you know, just in terms of, for me, I don't know if the photographer has been, you know, sort of brought to the fore as to who took the photograph, but there's no way Makadzi should be apologizing. The photographer should be apologizing for what they have done. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. But the world has taken a very different turn, hasn't it? Just bizarre. Anyway, there's our moan for the morning, all under trending topics. So we're going to take a break, and then after that,
Women's Economic Assembly coming up, and we'll be joined by Dr. Futi Mtoba, who will be co-chairing this event, and we're going to be in conversation of some of the matters to be discussed, and of course what this aims to achieve. So please stay with us.